welcome to Voices from the Valley. This is our 14th edition of trekking out here to understand what is driving the engines of innovation. It's also the 24th year for Young Turks, the world's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. And so it's great to have with me somebody on the program who has spent an equal amount of time in the company that he's been with. Today, he heads UST as the Chief Operating Officer. Gilroy Mathew, thanks so much for joining us here on Voices from the Valley. Appreciate you making the trek to be here with us on the program. But, you know, let's start with that. It's parallel journeys almost for Young Turks, for me and for you, Gilroy. Yes. You've been at UST now for over 2 decades. In fact, going into your 27th year. Yes. It's an unusual story in today's times, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, UST happened by coincidence for me, because I come from Trivandrum, the southern tip of India. And when UST got started, both in Arizona and California, where we are headquartered, as well as in Trivandrum on the same day, I mean, everybody thought, okay, as a new startup getting started, and my parents wants to get an intro into that company and see whether I can work from there. But then, fortunately, for UST, our first customer was a Fortune 30 retailer, and I came from a retail background. So the stars aligned, and then I was fortunate to start with that first project and make it happen. And then never look back. I mean, one after the other, I lived in Seattle for most part for that customer, and then got into many other areas. And then I decided to go back to India. Then I got an entrepreneurial journey within UST to start the engineering portfolio with semiconductor.
Yes.
And then from there to automotive to manufacturing, and now Chief Operating Officer for UST. So really exciting.
It has been quite a journey and an exciting one, as you pointed out. But you know, what's also interesting, and I don't know how many people picked up on that, is that this company was started in 1999.
That's right.
On the same day in Trivandrum and in California. I mean, who would have thought that we would have had a startup starting up in Trivandrum in 1999 in the tech business?
Absolutely. Nobody would have thought about it. At the same time, I don't know how many of you know, the first software technology park of India started in Trivandrum. And that is one of the greenest technology park that you can see. And obviously, we had all the amenities to really get started, because we have more than 170 plus engineering colleges. And obviously, Kerala is known for its literacy rate as well. So that enabled us to really bring in a lot of people who have left Kerala, because we didn't have much opportunities after graduation. So we could bring that back, and that was the whole point of view, right? And G.M. Menon, being a visionary leader, he was from Kerala, and he lived in the Beverly Hills, and he was the chairman of Comcraft Group of Company, which is one of the founder companies of UST, or investors of UST. So he wanted to bring Kerala into the IT and engineering map, and that is how we were born. And look at where we are today. We are one of the largest employer in Kerala, as well as we expanded to more than 37 different countries with more than 32,000 employees.
Well, that is the origin story of UST, but let's talk about where we find ourselves today. I mean, you know, you trek through the valley at this point in time, and everybody is talking about AI and what AI is going to do, what agentic AI is going to do, autonomous systems, ecosystems, harnesses, scaffoldings. What do you make of the many changes that you're encountering today?
Absolutely. So I would say 2026, right? I mean, it's a year of convergence, because today you hear all these buzzwords of edge, AI, cloud,
ambient intelligence,
ambient intelligence, physical AI, all of these, right? And all of those has a reason. Because today, if you really take few sectors, like maybe I'll talk about like semicon, manufacturing, and automotive as an example, right? If you take each of them, if you take semiconductors as an example, the verification cycles are getting automated in a much simpler way because of AI. Now, earlier we were talking about CPUs, and then the data center era came with the GPUs.
Correct.
Now CPUs coming back because of agentic AI. That's a huge shift. And that is why, I mean, you will see almost all the semiconductor companies are doing extremely well.
On the stock markets, I mean, literally every single one of them skyrocketing.
So that's a huge boom for the industry, and everybody was going to benefit out of this.
That's also a cautionary tale there in what you said, because, you know, people are quick to write obituaries. I mean, people were writing the obituaries for CPUs, and as you pointed out, CPUs are back and how?
Absolutely, and it's all because of agentic AI. Now you take the automotive sector. Automotive sector has to have close correlation with the manufacturing too. So if you take the manufacturing part, right, the factories are becoming darker in the sense Now you don't need human beings inside the factories, right? The factories are run by the agents, the sensors, and pretty much the AI engineering that enables it, right? So it is darker for humans, but it is lit for the sensors.
Right.
And that is how many of the manufacturing sectors are completely shifting, where it is, you don't need humans. Humans are needed only for oversight. So that is one part of the manufacturing sector that is changing. Now, if you take the workers part of it, right? They're also there's manufacturing from a factory flow standpoint to the connected, completely driven from an AI standpoint. Because the physical AI is going to enable a lot of this automation that the factory setup is required. And then with the connected systems coming in, most of the workers are going to talk to each other, and it is also going to simplify many of the things that has been done earlier with automation. So now, if you take an automotive car, the futuristic or the latest cars, many of those cars may have like thousands of or millions of codes from a software standpoint. That's going to double now, because now the car or a truck is going to be more software running on a wheel rather than the mechanical parts to it, right? So that's the kind of shift that you see between semicon to manufacturing to automotive. And that is where AI is bringing a significant change with edge AI, the cloud, as well as agentic and physical AI.
You know, let's talk a little bit about semiconductors. And as you pointed out, that's really the foundational layer on which all things AI are being built at this point in time. And I want to ask you this in the context of India. The government has rolled out Semicon 1. We're now waiting for cabinet approvals for Semicon 2. You've, of course, got a partnership with Keynes Technology in India. How do you see the India semiconductor play?
Absolutely. So that's where, I mean, UST has also been fortunate to be working with the semiconductor companies. We work with top 9 of the semiconductor companies across the globe. Now, we started this journey 17 years back. We knew that, I mean, if we have to really create an ecosystem for semicon, we need to really get into all facets of semicon, whether it's a verification validation to VLSI design, to hardware software integration and automation, right? So we pretty much did all this through an R&D lab in Bangalore, and it is a scaled R&D lab. Then we expanded into Penang and many other countries. So now we knew that if we have to really get into the bandwagon of what India government is investing on, we also need to get into the OSAT scheme of things. That's a good starting point. Eventually the fabs will come in, but OSAT is a great starting point because you can actually get some of the design and the packaging done for the silicon chips that are coming in from an AI standpoint. Right? So that is where we decided to look for a good partner who can actually come in and work along with us. Now, Keynes is known for electronic manufacturing, and they're very good at it, whereas UST is known for the semicon engineering part of it. So that's where the synergy happened, where both the management decided to work together to see how we can actually bring in an OSAT in India. And that is how we have set up the plant in Sanand in Gujarat. And it was also inaugurated by our Prime Minister Modi. And now what we are doing is we have created phase 1 and a phase 2 approach, where phase 1 is predominantly we are looking at SOT and SOD, whereas phase 2 we are looking at LED and VGA. And more customers are needing this.
Just so that everybody can understand what we're talking about, SOT, and you know, if you can simplify that for us.
No, so I'll simplify it in a better way. Like for example, today, if a silicon has to be produced from India, obviously you need to have a fab. But it will take some time. And obviously it's in the working. So it's coming in. But after the fab stage, that is where the packaging happens, the testing and the packaging happens. And that is what we are actually doing along with the OSAT. So OSAT, the full form of OSAT itself is outsourced semiconductor assembly and test. So there, the electronic manufacturing will be a component that Keynes will do, whereas UST will bring in the testing part and the packaging part from a design enablement standpoint. So that is what we are doing. So that is what, I mean, these are like technical terms, I'll avoid some of those, but obviously this is exactly what we are trying to do, but we are not stopping there. We'll also get to some of the next level, because even packaging and testing also has different levels based on the chips that you are actually going to use. So we will only advance from where we are, but we have to have a starting point. So we started with 11 production lines, and it's as a 46-acre property we have as a plant, and then we will definitely increase that to further from doubling it from 11 to 22 and more for the higher end nodes that we are actually working with various customers. And for that to happen, we are also working with, as we are working with many of the semicon companies, both Keynes and UST are talking to many others from US and Europe also to come in and contribute to India.
Okay, that's interesting. So phase 2 is when do you think that you're going to be able to kick off phase 2? And you said that Keynes and UST are in talks with companies around the world at this point in time. What are we talking about? What could be the level of investments? Are we looking at equity partnerships? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so we are also looking at like-minded partners to come into the ecosystem in India, because see, semiconductor has to be looked at as an ecosystem.
Yes.
It can't be looked at as like earlier we used to say, we used to do verification, validation, VLSI design and hardware, software integration. But now we are not talking about that. We need ecosystem. If you really look at some of our neighbors, how they actually scale, it's all about creating that ecosystem. Like even for one component, you will have thousands of companies.
Yeah.
And that is where really the cost will come down, and significantly you can play as a much larger player. So that's the ecosystem that India needs. So we need more component manufacturing to come in. We also need to have a lot more tie-ups with the universities to enable some of these. All of those has to come in as an ecosystem, and that is what we are looking at. And that is why we are also looking at how we can get other companies to come in and then contribute. So phase 2 should be within the 2028 range.
Okay.
Where 2026 and 27 is where we are establishing ourselves. The plant is inaugurated now. The first customer is already onboarded. And now we are actually getting more customers to work on the phase 1 and then eventually get to phase 2 by 2028.
What could all of this mean in terms of revenue in the next few years as you start to build this out, as you get more customers on board? And I don't know how many of you can hear this, but there is a train passing us by. And the big question at this point in time, Gilroy, is has India missed the train?
No, I would say, obviously, India had its own benefits. In fact, we were known for IT and digital transformation and scale. Obviously, we reaped the benefits of that for multiple decades. But now is the era where we are definitely wanting to get to the AI and the semiconductor industry. And so that way, I think we missed the bus on manufacturing for sure. But now the manufacturing is coming back, the semicon is coming back, and AI, that's where we need to be intelligently executing things. Scale is great, but we need to do intelligently. I think that's what my point earlier, right? Some of our neighboring countries are actually having more than 1 million industrial robots to run manufacturing units. And that's the size and scale, whereas every other country add together will not even get to 1 million. So that is where we could do the same, with more manufacturing companies coming in and with more robotics and humanoids being developed in India. Obviously, we'll get there. We'll also enable a lot more manufacturing to come in with some of this automation. And that is how we need to get there. But there has to be a start. Good that the India government has invested and we are actually getting into that mode, and eventually we'll get there.
As you talk to your customers, as you talk to your clients, as you talk to people that you are currently partnering with as well, what's the view on India in terms of setting up shop in India, in terms of putting down investments in India, similar to what we've seen happen in countries like Korea and so on and so forth? We've seen what's happened with companies like SK Hynix and so on and so forth. The expectation or the hope certainly is, can we see that being replicated here in India as well?
Absolutely. I think that is what I think. If you really look at it, we are also, UST has partnered with Swedish embassy and the ecosystem in Sweden, where we are working closely with them to really bring in a lot of the AI-related solutions that they've built, where UST can bring in scale, they can bring in the technology.
Okay.
So that tie-up is actually going on. Like that, there are many other countries that are trying to really do the same strategy within India. So that way, I think it will happen. So the companies from Taiwan and other companies are also interested to talk with us and see whether we can really bring in some of those physical AI transformation within India. Because some of the manufacturing plants that are coming in, we want to really bring in with the latest.
Right.
So that way, I think it will definitely happen. So now another thing that we are also doing is we actually took a majority stake in a company called Ital Design.
Yes.
So it was owned by Audi, and now we are going to take the majority stake. So this is a huge transformation, and it's a game changer. So what it means is, see, they had been doing only design. Italy is known for design.
Yes.
And they were doing design for the Audis and the Volkswagen family. And we are able to really bring in our engineering expertise to align with their design capabilities to really make sure that the next world, the software-defined vehicles that are coming in, and any of those new end stuff that need to be run on a software can be done together with the combination of the design expertise of Italy and the engineering expertise from India.
Right.
So like that, we ourselves USC ourselves is actually bringing in the Italian design to the core for even Indian OEM.
You've been doing a fair amount of M&A as well. You just gave us one example. Is 2026 likely to be a year of more acquisitions, and from an India point of view as well?
So we always look for what is the complementary skills that we can add to really bring in faster output, right? So that way we'll continue to do that. So especially in the semicon industry, we invested in OSAT. With the automotive industry, we have invested in Ital Design. With manufacturing, we are actually bringing in our own platforms.
Okay.
We are actually bringing smart factory platforms, which is a three-layered architecture that enables you to really bring in the cloud-related activities with the ERP, MES, and the agentic AI talking to each other, with the middle layer, which is nothing but the IT/OT layer, with the cyber security, so that the IT/OT security can be secured for manufacturing units, right? So that kind of very new cutting-edge things that we are doing for European customers, we are bringing it to India.
What is the adoption like in India? Because there is a question mark on enterprise adoption. What is the signals that the market is sending you?
Oh, very, very positive. I mean, I would say that, I mean, everybody wants to get to the new latest bandwagon. That's a very positive sign, right? Whatever I am talking about, whether it is in the semiconductor industry where we want to get to OSAT, already you would have heard like multiple announcements where the inaugurations have happened in Sanand and Gujarat. You will hear more in the coming years. So that way, I think it's definitely in the positive side. Secondly, with the manufacturing, every manufacturing customers that we work in India, they all want to get to the new modern digitization using AI. So that's a very positive side. I mean, that's why I said, I mean, physical AI. The only thing is today we may not have the humanoids built in India, but it is getting built.
Yeah.
So eventually that will enable the faster turnaround for some of these manufacturing units to get adapted to that. But until then, they are also bringing it from outside. So that is the second part. Second, automotive. In fact, we actually did one of the larger transformation for one of the largest truck manufacturing company in India, where they used to have connected systems for only 30,000 trucks. We scaled it up to more than 250,000 trucks that are running in India on our connected platform. So we have an Internet of Things IoT platform called IDEC, which enabled them to really connect all their vehicles across India. And that too, we have actually collated more than 80 different parameters from the telematic data that we can take it from the machines using the AI-based tools that we have created. That enables them to even use that data for monetization for the dealers.
Right.
So that's the kind of level at which India is moving, which we would have never heard of in the past. So now we are even actually looking at how we can even set up larger R&D centers for some of these automotive companies in India.
Okay.
Which again was not
the global automotive companies. Okay.
So those are the kind of transformation that is definitely giving me a good sign that obviously India is in the right path.
Well, that's good to hear. But, I also want to understand from you, what will be the trends that will shape the semiconductor industry in the next few years? Or is the next few years too long a period to even talk about, given the pace of change?
No, absolutely. I mean, next 3 years, I would say. Let's put it 3 years rather than... Because semiconductor always goes through a cyclical phase, right? But this is going to be a longer cyclical phase of positiveness for semicon, let's put it that way. Especially because of the CPU coming in and also with agentic AI. Because everybody is getting adapted to agentic AI. And for everybody to do that orchestration layer, you need the CPUs, right? So that being said, obviously we believe that semiconductor is definitely the place to bet in. And I'm sure every company will actually focus on that. USD is definitely doing for the last 17 years. We'll continue to do more and we'll be investing more. And on top of that, I also want to say that, I mean, we are also investing heavily in setting up a very large VLSI design house in India. It's a design house that we are setting it up for serving to all the semiconductor companies. And we are also having a very large team set up for the custom ASIC, which is going to enable them to really have a lot of chiplet-based customization that we can do on the ASIC level. So all those are new things that we are going to bring it in India.
So what is that going to mean in terms of how much you intend to invest now incrementally in India for some of these new things that you spoke of?
All of these have to be really built over the period of it. So it has to be a progressive plan because a lot of talent need to be there. If you really look at it, right, in India, the shortfall for design resource is very, very high. We don't have much of design people available in India. So that is one of the critical aspects that we need to build. So with that ecosystem need to be built with academia. So that is what USD has already started last 2 years. And we are continuing to invest in that. So over the period of time, that design resources will enable us to really do a lot of this VLSI design for the AI chipsets. Now, let me put one more angle to it. I'm sure we are talking about semicon in a big way. Two things are actually changing the dimensions other than the CPU, the AI data centers. It is actually, I know everybody talked about moving to cloud and the era of the data centers getting dead and everything, but now with
data centers are back.
Absolutely, it's back up. Secondly, the hyperscalers are actually investing on coming up with their own AI chipsets. So we are helping on both. So we have a very good capability where we are enabling the customers to set up AI data centers in different countries in US, India, as well as in Taiwan. Similarly, we are also enabling the hyperscalers to develop their own chipsets. So we are enabling them on the design as well as the verification validation for them to actually have those chipsets available for the market. So both other two areas are also definitely a huge opportunity from a semiconductor standpoint, which we feel we are blessed
Let's
to have.
address the data center issue, because I think that's getting a lot of focus and attention in India. The government has also rolled out a 20-plus year tax holiday to try and incentivize more investments in data centers. What are you hearing in terms of incremental investments, the kinds of people who would want to be in India in the data center business?
Oh, everyone. So that is where the sovereign strategy will also play a significant role. I mean, eventually every country will have their own angles on how they want to play, because at the end of the day, they want to protect their data.
So on-prem now becomes significant.
Absolutely. So it has definitely become significant because they want to hold the data within the country, right? So that is where they will have a sovereign strategy, and AI data centers is the need of the hour. So they have to have it. From a training standpoint for the chips, the AI chipsets that are coming in. So India will definitely, I mean, already announced it. So obviously it is going to have a proliferation of that. I mean, only thing is we need to figure out how the energy is going to come in.
Yes, and the environmental cost of it.
So that's the only thing that we need to worry about. But otherwise it is going to be in a city, and not only in India, every other country will also have the same aspects to be taken care of, because we are also working with many countries where many of the real estate companies are actually getting those demands, and they need an engineering partner, and that's where UST is coming in and helping them to set up their data centers.
All of these numbers that we hear on capex, etc., which run into hundreds of billions and touching $1 trillion almost in the next few years across the board from an industry standpoint, those don't surprise you at all?
Absolutely not. It is only going to go up. I mean, even the edge compute itself, we are talking about in the next 3 years, we are talking about $500 billion. So that's a level at which we are actually hearing how the industry is actually talking about.
So what will all of this translate into as far as UST's revenues are concerned? I mean, you're almost at $2 billion. That's the run rate that you're working with today. But given all the opportunities that you just spoke to us about, what are you working with as a target?
So obviously, right, I mean, with AI coming in, everybody's talking about what will happen to software. But the good part about UST is we invested in engineering 17 years back. And our starting point was semicon. And then we got into all the other sectors, the adjacencies, right? So today, if you really look at it, engineering is cutting across all the clusters that UST works. Whether it is semicon, automotive, manufacturing, telecom, retail, all of them needs the engineering expertise to come in. And engineering will stay, even though the software will have challenges to an extent with AI coming in. But engineering will play a significant role in enabling each of these verticals to the next level of transformation.
So as a UST lifer who spent 27 years here within the company, how different is UST likely to look 5 years on?
So 5 years on, so we are definitely looking at more and more customers looking at leveraging us from a platform standpoint. So we are creating a lot of platforms, whether it is on the semiconductor industry, the automotive industry, or the manufacturing industry, or even healthcare and BFSI and retail, right? So we will have that platform layer, as I said earlier, where it's the solution-based approach that we are taking rather than just doing a project for the sake of doing, right? So that is the approach that we see. By 2030, we will definitely have solution-based platforms that will accelerate the problem statement of a customer to a solution-based selling. So that's what we look at. Again, all with AI.
All with AI, which is going to, of course, be a big part of the future growth strategy as well as the future of the company. Gilroy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us on Voices from the Valley. We wish you the very best of luck and look forward to seeing you in India and hearing more from you about your plans for India as well.
It's absolutely a pleasure to even meet you and talk to you and even discuss all this. And definitely looking forward.
Thank you so much. Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Voices from the Valley. If you enjoyed our conversations, then keep sending us your feedback and your comments. We'll be back with a lot more headliners from Silicon Valley for next time. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.